Hall of Famer Shannon Sharpe is now suggesting that my team, the Dallas Cowboys, is crumbling under the pressure, choking its guts out ahead of its game of the year to the point that it is exaggerating, if not fabricating, injuries to the quarterback. Isn't that your premise, right?
Premise.
Okay, thank you very much.
In a nutshell.
I'm sorry, but I'm going to tell the truth, the painful truth. This is a big, bad deal for my Dallas Cowboys. This feels not meant to be. Like about half of this year, 7 games this year, felt not meant to be because they lost 7 out of 14. So I say, Merry Christmas, Philadelphia. I say, fly, Eagles, fly. And I say, why, Dallas, why? Here we go again. It's just like this whole season has been one thing after another, after another, after another, after another. So, what is happening to the point spread? You said my team was favored. Yeah, it was. And now it's plunging. Yeah. It's gone down a full point already. And trust me, as this day wears on, it'll go down to 1 point. It might be pick 'em by the kickoff of this game because there's so much question. It's so up in the air about whether my quarterback will even play in this football game.
Oh, my goodness, Skip. Stop it now.
So, what do we know about my quarterback?
What do we know about him?
In 4 years, and we're almost to the conclusion of his 4th year, he has not missed a single game, nor in his history a single practice. Wow. Now, one time has Dak Prescott ever even been listed as limited in a practice. Not once until yesterday. And not only was he limited, he was DNP, did not practice. He stood and watched the practice. According to all the media members, he did not even attempt to throw a single pass, but he did try a few left-handed. He tossed a few with his wrong hand.
Sure.
Fabricating? I think not. It's you can't, you say, oh, why would you disclose this? You can't hide the fact that the quarterback didn't practice. You can hide a whole lot of stuff in practice, but if the quarterback doesn't throw a single pass, even if they tried to fake it and he just handed the ball off the whole practice, maybe you could sort of try to get away with that.
But you didn't have to disclose the reason why he didn't practice. Okay, yeah, I get that, Skip. You can't hide that he did, that the quarterback, well, we didn't see Dak at practice today. Okay, you can't hide that, but must you disclose why he isn't practicing?
Okay.
He has so many things wrong with him, I think you can't help not exposing. You have to disclose why can't he even throw the football? Is it his fractured index finger on his throwing hand? Well, they tried to downplay that, and they said that's no big deal. After our man Troy Aikman obviously reported after a conversation with Dak on the field before the game that Dak indicated to him, I have a hairline fracture at the tip of my index finger on my throwing hand.
Correct.
Not the end of the world, but not the greatest thing because it's just a distraction. It's just it's an annoyance is what it is. And in colder weather, it can ache. Will it slightly affect your accuracy? Maybe slightly affect. Your middle finger is the last finger to come off the football, but still, it could just bother you. It's not the best thing going into the biggest game of the year. This is obviously a playoff game before the playoffs start, right? This is one game or bust.
Right.
You are either in or you are out.
Yep.
So is this any way for my quarterback to get ready for the biggest game of the year? I think not. What was Jason Garrett? Jason Garrett, you can say a lot of things about him, and I said a whole lot of things about him, but he's always reasonably honest. Sometimes he's evasive, but he will not lie to the media in my history of carefully studying Jason Garrett. So he was pointedly asked twice yesterday, will Dak be able to go on Sunday? And he said both times, I just don't know. And I think that was an honest reaction on his part because his quarterback couldn't throw a single pass in practice. Usually with Dak, you would get the quote of, Dak's a warrior. That's what they always say. Dak's a warrior, and Jason would just sort of shrug it off and say, sure, I'm sure he'll suck it up.
The crooks is Dak going to play on Sunday?
I don't know.
Stop it.
Well, I just don't know.
I know.
Well, I hope you know, because I don't. And again, Ed Werder reported that he even pulled Jason aside as they walked out of the press conference and said, Jason, play or not play? And he said, honestly, I'm not sure about that.
You know what the problem is, Skip Bayless? The Cowboys and everybody under takes a cue from their owner. because he can't keep his mouth shut, and guess what? Nobody else can keep their mouth shut. There is no way, okay, if your quarterback's not playing, not practicing, got no problem with that. But for you to disclose the very nature of the injury, shoulder injury. Now, the play that happened on was the Clay Matthews play that he ran.
Not sure about that.
I'm willing to bet on that.
Okay, well, I'm about to break that down for you.
Because Skip, as a matter of fact, I broke my collarbone on a very similar play that, got teacupped on the side. And back in 92, the rest is so, Dave Durison, I ran a 7 route and partially dislocated both shoulders on a play like that. Landed on it, and then Dave Durison landed on the top of me and did the other one.
Okay.
So I've seen these injuries before. But, Skip, if it's an AC joint, they're going to put some medicine now. Obviously, it's very painful. They're trying to do some stretching, trying to keep as much strength in that shoulder as they possibly can. But they're going to put medicine in that shoulder. You know that. And Dak Prescott's going to...
You mean painkiller.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, there's no way to fix it right now. You can't heal it on the fly.
You know what I mean. They're going to inject the shoulder. Dak Prescott's going to go out there and he's going to feel just fine. But if I'm Fletcher Cox, I'm doing everything I possibly can to put Dak on that shoulder.
Well, unfortunately, he's got a shoulder and an index finger, and according to the practice report, his left wrist is sprained.
I don't care about that. I don't care nothing about no finger. I don't care nothing about, because guess what? I want that shoulder. And I'm going to try to put him on that shoulder. And if I'm Fletcher, I'm going to try to put all 300 pounds on it.
So Jason Garrett is not known for gamesmanship. He's not one of those shrewd operators who drops little hints about this could be happening or that couldn't be happening. I think he was shooting straight when his quote was, right now it's just hard to function with that right throwing shoulder banged up. Okay, hard to function. So let's go back to the play in question. If we could see the Clay Matthews play, this is the first play of what became the opening 90-yard drive for the first touchdown, 7-0. And it's a zone read. I wish he'd run this play a lot more. And he gets around Clay Matthews, who actually played it very well. And then Clay rolls over the top of him, and you can argue his right shoulder got pulled underneath a little bit. Remember, Dak's a big, strong man. He goes about 240-ish, and he's not prone to injury. He'll get banged up, but not hurt.
But guess what, Skip? You can be the biggest and strongest of man, but it takes the same amount of pressure to fracture a collarbone or dislocate something.
I would agree with you. So, again, I've been banging the desk for him to run that play more, but Clay played it very well. He's playing it all day long because they were obviously, Wade went into the game saying, I can't let him hurt us that way.
Because guess who hurt him a couple of weeks earlier? Lamar Jackson.
He hurt him. He didn't hurt him. He ran him off the field. Okay? So we did have 2 more plays in the first half that, again, if you're right about that play, then it's good news that it was that play because he continued to function.
Yeah, and he threw a pass right after that.
Okay, threw lots of passes that were pretty good. So we get to a 4th and 1 play at the 7. This is in the 21-7 touchdown drive. And it's a pretty big play in the game. You're going all or nothing here, and he sneaks it. So he sneaks it, and obviously at that point he's using his right shoulder to pile drive, right? So if he went to the sideline and complained of an AC joint injury after the Clay Matthews play, well, they wouldn't have even called his number there, right?
Well, I think the thing, a lot of times, Skip, is that when you're in the game and you hurt something, you have so much adrenaline pumping that you don't really, it bothers you. Know something wrong, but once the game is over and the next day.
If you voiced any concern to your play caller or your head coach, they wouldn't call that play. They would have handed it to 21.
He probably wouldn't say anything, considering, Skip, that when he did it, they threw a pass the very next play after the Clay Matthews.
Okay.
So clearly he didn't show any signs.
Okay, so now we go to the final touchdown drive, and it was a short field drive after the Sean Lee interception right before halftime. And the second play of that little short series was this play. And look at this. He just took off running. It's a scramble. It's not a called run, obviously. I mean, he's taking some shots here, you know, like obviously he's playing with abandon, like he's not trying to guard his shoulder or turn away from the hits. It's clear at that point he has no qualms about his right shoulder. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Because usually if you do, you're going to protect or you're going to sort of fall away from your right shoulder, right? So again, I don't see any concern on his part at this point for his right shoulder. Maybe it's straight adrenaline. Maybe it's just warrior syndrome because I've seen this guy take so many shots and he just keeps going no matter what the injury factor might be, right? Okay, so I got one more play because now we go through the second half. And there was a short scramble for a yard. There was another sneak for a yard. But there's one play late in the game with 7:37 left in the game. It's 34-7 at this point in this play. he tries a handoff to Tony Pollard, and they miss the mesh point on kind of a zone read play, and the ball goes on the ground. And Dak just dives headlong for this football, and this is dangerous because guess who met him head on? Clay Matthews, back again. And that's one where you could hurt your shoulder.
Well, you know that's the play, the very play, a similar play that Drew Brees ended his shoulder on. It was a fumble. He dove and tried to get it. John Lynch hit him.
He did.
And his arm went all the way around.
All the way around.
That very play, a play very similar to that.
Okay. He did recover the fumble, but at what cost? Because it's 34-7. And again, is that smart or dumb? You know, that's not the smartest play to go after the fumble.
You know, instinct just takes over at that point in time because they say, son, don't dive in there. I mean, your hands, your shoulder, anything can happen. But you're like, I got to get the ball.
Okay. So I hope against hope that you are right, that the injury occurred on the very first zone read keeper, and Clay went over the top of him, piled on, or just rolled over the top of him. Because if you're right about that play, I'm good to go, because he obviously functioned pretty well the rest of the game, and maybe it was just lingering soreness into Wednesday, right?
Right.
I can live with that, and we'll be okay going forward. But if it happened on that last play, if that was it, diving for the fumble, and that's the one, because after that, he didn't have to throw another pass. It's 34-7 at that point, and Tony Pollard got loose for one long touchdown.
Later after that, right.
Okay, so my point to you is, if it happened there, I'm in trouble.
Right.
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.